Hi, continuing with our Shadowboxing series, this video is actually going to be focusing more on footwork, since footwork is very important when it comes to not only doing shadowboxing but also incorporating it with your sparring sessions, whether it's a competition sparring or just a practice sparring that your sensei would actually ask you to do during the class. So the footwork that I'm actually going to introduce to you is a different kind of footwork, but it incorporates all of the things that you've learned from the past videos that hopefully you have watched first before reaching this video. If you haven't watched the first few videos of the footwork yet, I strongly suggest to you, viewer, to actually watch those videos first, and then you can actually come back to this video and then follow along so that you can actually understand more of what I'm actually trying to show you. Now, the step that I'm actually going to introduce to you is called the skip step. And the skip step can be done by a lot of ways, and it's actually practiced by a lot of martial arts, especially when you actually watch kumite or competition sparring like kickboxing, taekwondo, boxing, the karate kumite championships, and most especially some other forms of competition sports like UFC or MMA. Now, what I'm actually talking about here is doing this. See, that's what you call the skip step. The reason why it's called the skip step is because you're actually skipping a step. Literally, when you want to actually gain a distance or actually make yourself closer to your opponent, you would actually want to take a step. See? And that's a natural way to approach a person if you're actually just, wanting to talk to another person. But if you're in a competition setting, you would actually want to be a little bit faster to actually tag or make a score or hit your opponent, so that your opponent would actually be able to not counter whatever kind of action you're doing to him or her. So instead of actually doing this forward and back, you would want to actually take a skip on the step that I'm actually talking to you about. Instead of actually taking a step here, you'd want to skip it, like so. See? It's a lot faster than versus that's literally 2 steps as opposed to 4. So how to do it? Phase 1, if you're not used to it, we're actually going to break it down, and I'm going to show it as slow as possible and in detail so that you can actually practice it not only in the dojo but also in your homes or apartments as well. Okay, body stance, heel lifted on the back foot, and what you want to do is to actually just take a step with your back foot here, like so. You're not taking a cross step. You're just going to bring it as close as you can at this position. So if I'm facing forward you, what I'm actually doing is a modified version of a cat stance in karate. So, like so. Right? Step here. Notice that my knees are bent. When I actually take a step here, I'm not standing straight up. Reason being is you want to maintain the agility and the springiness of your leg, because you actually don't know when your opponent is going to attack. They might attack you when you're actually in this position, since you're actually weak, or should I say defenseless, since your balance is very, very narrow, and you can actually be knocked out or knocked off because of this position. So maintain the bend on your knees when you do this. Notice also that I'm still maintaining the heel off the floor from my back leg, like so. Now from here, that's the only time you can actually slide off or take a small step with your front leg, like so. Notice that I'm maintaining my fighting stance with my legs, okay, from my original position here, like so. And you know that you've taken the deep leg step right when you can actually put all of your weight on your back leg despite of your back leg's heel lifted off the floor. And you can lift off or lift up your front leg, like so. Okay? There you go. And because your knees are bent, your head level maintains. You're not actually bouncing up and down and doing the skip step. Because what you actually want to do is to transition to doing so like this. You don't want to do that, because sometimes when you do that, it gives your intention away of scoring, especially when you're actually going to attack your opponent or take a score from your opponent. And when you do this, it's giving you away, and it's giving the intent, and your opponent will be ready with his or her counter. So you want to maintain your head level as flat as possible, like so. Okay, step here, then make sure that your weight is on your back leg, knees are bent. I can lift my my front leg, and then I can slide off or take a small step, like so. Now you can actually do this also backwards. So instead of having your back leg taking a step here to a modified cat stance, you're actually going to take a step with your front leg here. Now you're actually doing the literal cat stance of karate. So if I do it front view, like so. This time my front leg's heel is lifted off the floor. The ball of my front leg is on the floor. And if I do this with my hands, I'm actually in a very tight, very small cat stance, like so. Notice that my rear leg this time is stepping flat on the floor. That's because I'm pushing off from my front leg this time. Before, we're pushing off from the rear leg. That's the reason why the heel is lifted up from here. But this time from the front leg, because I'm pushing off from this leg, so that I can actually take a step back with my back leg. Okay? Put it down again. Step back, making a very small cat stance. Lifted my heel off the floor with my front leg. I check if I'm actually doing it correctly by lifting my back leg while maintaining the posture or the position of my front leg, like so. Because when I do that, it makes it easier for me to take a step back or slide my back leg back for me to go back to this position. So again, one fluid slow motion, like so. Notice that my head level is flat. I'm maintaining my head level not to bounce up and down, but I'm maintaining the bend on my knees so that I'm maintaining the springiness of my legs. See? Like so. And for you to actually do this as a drill, you're just actually going to do them forward and backward, skip step. So it's going to look like this. Now to show you front view how deceptive this step is, I'm going to show you the normal walking as I approach you. Versus the skip step. See how fast that is? You can actually cover the distance twice as fast as opposed to doing the normal walking, which is this. But if I do the skip step, I'm literally closer to you, and I can actually do whatever I want since I'm actually closer to you now. And it also surprises you, my viewer, especially if you're sparring in a competition. If you surprise your opponent through covering the distance as fast faster than they predicted, you'll be able to actually stun them, and they're going to be frozen for at least 1 second, in order for you to actually do a score, and you take that score. So that's the main difference between taking this step as opposed to taking a skip step. Now, it's also the same thing that you can do when it comes to creating distance. So before you want to cover distance, now you want to create distance. Now again, front view, just to demonstrate, I want to make a space, a larger space between you and me, because I don't want you to score against me and I'm retreating, for example. That's a normal walk. As opposed to doing the skip step, it's again twice as fast, and I cover a lot more distance faster than my opponent does, so that my opponent can actually not tag me or not make a score against me. Again, you try to make a score against me, that's a walk. We do the skip step. I'm literally doing this. See? This one, but after this one I take a step, I'm back to my original fighting stance, and I'm already at least 3 feet away from my opponent, 1 foot further than my opponent can reach me. So it's basically like that. Same with moving forward. 1 foot further, or 1 foot closer rather, to my opponent for me to actually score. So there you have it. That's the first phase of doing the skip step. And the only difficult portion of doing this drill, or practicing the skip step forward and backward, is to actually maintain your head level. So if your legs are not that built well enough into maintaining the springiness of your legs and having your knees bent, I would suggest that you would actually practice some squats first, or warm up your legs in order for you to actually feel this motion while maintaining the back foot's heel off the ground. Okay? Because that's the key thing in order to maintain your head level. By head level, I mean that your head is in a straight line still, and you're not bouncing up and down. Because you really want to do this. And if you incorporate the past footwork that we've studied from the past videos, see, you'll be able to change directions and be deceptive against your opponent in order for you to actually overcome your opponent and take that score, and hopefully win the competition. So there you have it. That's the first phase of doing the skip step, moving forward and backward. Again, this is the kind of footwork that you can actually see from a lot of competitive sports, but mainly you can actually see this in Taekwondo and boxing. So hopefully you're going to practice these steps, especially at home, and then you can actually prepare yourself when it comes to doing competition, sparring, or kumite in your dojo as well. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do. We actually bring out videos like this, instructional or any kind of demos or whatnot, to this YouTube channel, and we'll actually continue to produce them to actually help you. If you haven't visited our website, fmawarrior.com, please do so. We provided a lot of instructional videos, and at the same time, we also have senseis that would actually give you private lessons as well if you're within the area. Again, thank you so much. Hopefully this video has helped you even in the smallest way possible. God bless you all. Always remain safe and take care.